Welcome everyone. This is an actual special episode of the DM Clinics. This is my friend Maddie Nance, and Maddie's a fantastic copywriter who I've had the chance to talk with and hang out with a little bit, not in real life yet, but we're looking forward to that. And I thought she'd be the perfect special guest for this week. And so, Maddie, I will pass it over to you.
Hi, everyone. So, as John said, I'm a copywriter, but I'm also a former fundraising manager. So, I get where everybody's coming from. And I actually train nonprofit teams on how to improve your copywriting for fundraising communication. And one thing I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to share my screen, is the PS.
Cool.
So, John, I'm sure you'll agree with me here. The PS is more important than a lot of people think. So it's actually one of the first things people read. And my theory for this, because I find myself doing it, is when you get a letter, first thing you want to know is who it's from, who's talking to me. So they flip to the end to see who's written this letter. And then when you see a PS, it's like, what's this secret message here? So there's a bit of that curiosity sparking. And it reminds me of when, like, when you hear people whispering and you're all of a sudden like,
Mhm.
what's this? Tell me. So that's why I think people go to the PS first. And it's why you want to use this space to write something good.
It's a really good theory. Um, and it is real. Siegfried Vogel was a German professor and he did these eye scan tests. And
Mm-hmm.
he found with eye scan tests that people would look at their name address on the front of the letter. They would sort of let their eyes scan down, see something that says, please turn over. And then they would look at the bottom of the letter on page two or where the last page and usually read the PS and make a decision to give based on that action. And so the PS, I know you'll probably talk about, is super important because I know there's some people who think it's unprofessional, but actually, if you don't use a PS in your letters, you're leaving money on the table for exactly that reason.
Exactly. And I think, like you said, when people read the PS, it helps them make the decision to give. It also helps them make the decision whether they want to dive in and read this whole story. So
Mhm.
it's you want the PS to make them think, yes, I'm in. Tell me more.
Absolutely.
And it surprises me how many people are still not doing a PS. When I see that it's empty, it's like, no. Okay, so as I said before, I write fundraising copy. So I've written many fundraising direct mail appeal letters. So I've kind of come up with some favorite ideas for what to use with the PS. And I'm going to share five of those today. So I've got little names for them and they'll make sense when I talk them through. I'm going to show some examples as well. All right, so the first one is called the then and now, the what if, next up, a quote, and a question. All right.
Cool.
Okay, the then and now. This is a story, the story in a nutshell. So you've got, you really want to get your PS. You keep it short, maybe a couple of sentences. So here's an example of how you can do your story in a nutshell. So I'm just going to move this up. So PS, Sarah spent every waking moment in agony until she finally found the support she needed to manage her condition. Please send your gift of $30 to help free more people like Sarah from chronic pain. So you can see you've gone, then she was this, she was in agony, and now she's got the support, she's feeling better. Then you'll see as well, I've done this with every PS, that you end it with the call to action. Do you do that as well, John?
So that it's funny. There's a distinction in American fundraising versus Canadian fundraising. It,
Mm,
gene- not all the time, but I seem to see this a lot. In the United States, most letters tell you about someone who needs your help now, and $30 will help them now. And you never know if they were helped. In Canada,
yeah.
there's always this Sarah needs your help because people like you care. She got the help, but $30 will help others like her.
Yes.
There's a little nuance in the storytelling, but so the Americans never solve. They never. The solution is you giving, and only by you giving will the thing or whatever be fixed or helped. In Canada, the thing was helped and fixed because people like you have already done this, but there's more like them or another scenario like it. So it's
Yes.
a little nuance in the storytelling, but yes, this is very good.
That is interesting. I do have one client that I write for that does what you were saying. They want to stay in the need. So for this one, it would be reworded to Sarah is spending every moment in agony until she can find the support. And then you say, please send your gifts so she can have be free from chronic pain. So
Exactly.
it's like she's still suffering and she needs your help
She's
now.
waiting somewhere in some
Yeah.
purgatory for someone to
Yeah.
call and say that $30 gift came in. Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Problem solved. So yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think I can see the benefit of doing it that way. Okay,
Okay. Good one.
number two. This is one of my favorite ones. It's called the what if. So it's pretty much you flipping it around. What happens if they don't receive help? So here's an example. P.S. What if Jason's social worker hadn't been there the day he hit rock bottom? Please send your $30 gift to ensure no one feels alone and forgotten. So I love that one because it makes you really makes you stop and think, whoa. It's kind of like what you're saying. Yes, we've got this person has been helped and we need to help more people, but then you can go back there. You can go back to the moment of need. What if he wasn't helped?
I like it because again, there's a story like to your point. It makes me want to go back and find out what happened to Jason. What was rock bottom for him, and like how can I play a role in making sure that doesn't happen again? So this would really make me. I mean, I talk about like taglines in outer envelopes so often. Like people will put shitty taglines in their envelopes that are yes or no like questions. Do you think of blah blah? And I just go, yeah, yeah, no, I don't. This isn't a yes or no question. And in storytelling, you don't want yes or no questions. This is speaks to the story. This speaks to like I'm inquisitive. I want to know what happened because we want
Yes.
to know.
Yeah. I think if I saw something like this in a PS, I would want to know the whole story. It would make me want to go back and read the whole letter.
Same. Yeah.
Okay. So that's one of my favorite ones. This one's the next up. This one's a bit more functional, but it can work. So this is specifically when people are including something in their pack, some kind of premium. No, do you call it premium here? Or is that an Australian thing? Yep.
Nope. Yep. Premiums. Yep. They'll exist.
Okay, so you can have something like this, and it's pretty much saying, next up, I want you to do this thing. So, P.S., you'll see I've enclosed a smiley face magnet for your fridge. I hope it reminds you of the smiles you make possible in the darkest moments. Please send your $30 gift to help more sick kids like Caleb find joy and laughter. So, it's saying there's more in this pack so it's using the premium as a draw card to get people to look through the pack and then you've also touched on the story.
Hmm.
So another thing you can do this. Sometimes I'll do this when I've got the because sometimes it's hard to decide. It's like there's a premium, but it's also sometimes not powerful enough in terms of the story. So sometimes I'll even do a PPF for this.
Oh yeah, I'm down with PPSs or
Yes.
PPSs. Like it
Yep.
depends on what you're trying to do because that also adds a bit of visual interest and it's so
Yep.
different. So yeah, you could make this a PS and a PPS for sure. But
Exactly.
also it's important like people do look at the letter and you're trying to drive them into like get more involved in the pack. So they go off looking for a magnet or something. If it doesn't fall out, then this is good. I like this. Nice.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So you can use both. You could use one of the other ones I said and then make this a PPS about the premium.
Hmm.
Okay. This one, a quote. So I'm really big on quotes and I feel like often with interviews, there's just full of gold and there's only so much you can use. So when I find a good quote, I want to use it in as many places as possible. And one area people don't think to use a quote is in the PS. So here's an example of one. So PS, on graduation day, Ava said, I'm the first in my family to ever go to university. This feels too good to be true. Please send your gift of $30 to support more students like Ava through scholarships. So again, it's sharing a bit of the story, the quote, and it's drawing people into that emotion. And you hopefully will think, oh, I want to hear more about Ava.
This is great. I've never seen that before.
Mm,
I've never seen it. This makes so much sense. You just explain like we should do this all the time, especially because we have such great
yep,
stories, like, and this could be a duplicate of something that's going to be on an insert or a lift note, but I love
yes,
the fact it's like you said, it draws you into the story a bit more. And for those who may want to go back and skim a bit more of the letter or read it, it's a nice way to sort of like add that emotional, like good feelings
yep.
component to it. Like, oh, that's great. I can make this with $30. I'll totally do that. It's fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
It's good.
I think as well, it's good to sprinkle quotes throughout. So, a lot of people use them, in the body of the letter and maybe at the top, like a type of headline thing. But yeah, I think it's a great way to also end your letter and it's like closing the loop. It's coming back to the voice of the person whose story it is. And you said this before, I think, about you can, even if you've used that same quote somewhere else, if that's in an insert, you can use it again here.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, my last one. I love putting questions in direct response copy because I feel like it makes it conversational, but it also makes people empathetic because you're making them stop and think about it because they're answering the question in their head and that puts them in somebody else's shoes. So here's an example of a question that you could put in your PS. PS, what would you do if you had to choose between paying the rent and buying groceries? Please send your urgent gift of $30 to bring much needed relief to families facing this heartbreaking decision. So again, it's you're trying to get somebody curious about this story. So you by asking them this question, you've made them think, you've made them relate to something.
Hmm. That's good. It's really good, man. I mean, in our work, we always suggest you should be sort of repeating or somehow nutshelling your offer, like what you're asking for. And all these do that in totally different ways. Like every agency or every creative has their own kind of like style way of doing certain kinds of things.
Mhm.
But I do like the variation. Like I'm going to do one of the clinics is about envelopes that might have happened already. But I was joking, I could speak 10 hours about envelopes. Like I think like some of
Yep.
these things like PSs, I'm sure with the right group of people together, the right person, they could speak 10 hours about PSs and the nuances in PSs. And I think I'm hoping with this series, people are starting to realize that everything we're talking about, we're going to talk about very granular things. And I want people to get more curious. So we're going to go, I'd like to understand PSs even more because I've never really
Yes.
thought about I always thought there was one way to do it, or I never do it. Now I've got five. Are there 10? Are there maybe 20? And the answer probably is yeah, there would be if we got a whole bunch of writers here. I'm sure we could
Yep.
come up with 15 or 20 different ways to do PSs because it's part of the craft, isn't it? Like these different ways of
Mhm.
coming at the stuff. And which one is the right one at the right time is also kind of the question sometimes. It's like, which is the right kind of PS for this appeal? But yeah, I think it's great. It's fantastic.
Great. Well, that's all I've got. But like you said, there are so many more, and actually, it was hard to narrow this down to five. So even as I was talking about it, I thought of other ideas. So it's an area that I think doesn't get enough attention because people think it's an afterthought. But actually, if you think about it the other way around, that people might read this first, and it might be the deciding factor of whether they read the rest of the pack, suddenly you see how important it is.
Love it. Thank you, Maddie. Maddie, where can people find you? I mean, I know you're a busy person. So hopefully not everyone wants to find you, but if someone wanted to reach out to you, where would be the best place to do that?
Well, I love talking to people, so everyone's welcome to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm very active on LinkedIn if you want to message me on there. And I also have my website, kindwordreview.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Maddie.
Thanks, John.
I owe you one.